Hey, what's up guys, it's Theo from Fino Concepts, and this is the review of the Canon M50. This camera was launched back in February 2018 at a price of 4,500 Ghana cedis, so it didn't come cheap. But then again, it is among the best mirrorless cameras for beginners, and most YouTubers are even talking about it and recommended it to other people. But why is that? Well, let's find out then. So first things first, this camera is small, like very small. It weighs 390 grams or 0.86 pounds, and for 3,500 Ghana cedis or more in some cases, you may feel a bit cheated once it arrives in your mail. But if you're someone who has come across or ever used the Sony a6000 series, then I don't think this is going to be a problem for you. At the top of the camera is like most common DSLRs on the market. But then again, this is a mirrorless camera, so let's bear that in mind. We get the horseshoe mount, the power switch, the mode dial, function, record, and shutter button on the top, with a strangely designed exposure control dial. This isn't very common with most Canon cameras out there, but I believe with a smaller body like this was the best design option that they could go for. It comes with a 3-inch flip-out screen, which we'll discuss later in this video. On the right is the mini HDMI port, a micro USB port, and the wireless button. Then on the left is the mic input. The bottom houses a 1/4-inch mount, the card slot, and battery compartment. On that note, it supports the XDSC cards, which I would recommend you get a card that at least supports 95 megabytes per second read and write speed if you would be shooting at a high frame rate. The battery is also the LPE12 lithium-ion battery, which is rated to take 250 shots per charge. If you're not new to this channel, you may have realized that I do talk about my tiny hands a lot. And even with these, the camera still feels a bit too small for me. And even at this smaller size, it still comes with a pop-up flash, which you can access by lifting this lid right here. I still doubt anyone will be using this pop-up flash to be taking pictures because it isn't any good. I've done a review about the most inexpensive speed lights I have come across on the market. More on that up here or down in the description below. You can check that one out. And since this is a mirrorless camera, it comes with the electronic viewfinder. It is placed in a comfortable position, which is very common. And if you're someone who uses glasses, you can change the clarity of the eyepiece using the slider just beneath. I would say it's more like a 1:1 aspect ratio or 100% of your view in the viewfinder. So anytime you are taking pictures, what you see is exactly what you get. The Canon M50 comes with a 24 megapixel APS-C sensor, and it uses the Canon's EFM mount system. But getting a Canon camera with the EFM mount comes with a few compromises. One is there isn't that many lenses to choose from, just about a handful of them. So if you want to use older EF or EFS lenses on this, you will need an additional lens adapter, which is going to come at a cost of an additional 250 Ghana cedis or so. And if you want to increase the capability of the crop sensor, then considering a speed booster is also a way to go, but that is also going to come at an additional like 1,000 cedis or so. So bear that in mind. The ones I got my hands on are from FAVOURTIES, and although they didn't sponsor this video or send this to me for free, they are the ones I'm quite familiar with and have used and haven't had any problems, so they are worth talking about them. As mentioned, it comes with a 3-inch swivel touchscreen, which I love so much. Added to the focusing speed of the camera, you just tap to focus. And since it is fully articulatory, shooting YouTube videos with it is a lot of fun. You can clearly see yourself, your background, and adjust your framing accordingly. The dual pixel autofocus is also present here, and I'm sure you've heard enough about it, so I'm not going to rant about it too much in this video. And since the screen also supports touch inputs, basically everywhere, even in the settings app, you can just tap on the screen and get focus instantly, while still being able to track your subject with ease. And for faces, you are in luck. You would have no issues worrying whether you are in focus or not. There's also eye tracking, which only shows up when your face is close enough to the camera. And once you are farther away, it switches to the face tracking alone. So for videos, it shoots 4K at 24 frames per second or 1080p up to 60 frames per second. Recording videos in 1080p works phenomenal with this autofocus system, and here's how it looks and sounds like. Alright, so this is the video quality and audio quality of the Canon M50. I have it shooting at 1080p 24 frames per second. So basically that is what you see right now. I'm also pairing it with the 28mm f 2.8 Canon lens, which I have done a review about up here or down in the description below. So let me know if it looks any good. As mentioned, this camera comes with an APS-C sensor and it has a crop factor of 1.6 times. This means that the 24mm I use typically for my YouTube videos is still 24 on the full frame, but with this crop sensor, it has to be multiplied by this 1.6 crop factor. So we are getting right around 38.4mm on the full frame. And with this, the 24mm, which is already zoomed in by 1.6, is zoomed in again by 1.7, so we are getting like 65.28 or so millimeter on this. That is a little bit too much. Now I'm shooting at 4K 24 FPS and this is what we get. There's a little bit of crop factor sitting at the exact same position using the exact same 24mm, and see it is a bit more zoomed in. So yeah, maybe 4K isn't really your thing, or unless you get a wider lens, you are not going to be getting everything you want in the frame if you are going to be shooting in 4K. Another thing I should also mention is that the autofocus doesn't really work that well in 4K. It is constantly hunting. As you can see, it just takes a while before it picks up my face. But it is still there, just not as great as it would be if you're shooting in 1080p. Unlike the Canon 600D, which I did a review about a while back, more of that up here or down in the description below, you don't always need someone to be nailing focus for you or having any of these remote controls around. But if you want to shoot in 4K, then it is a bit of a necessity. Gladly, the Canon M50 comes with focus peaking, so if you are using manual focus, you definitely know when you nail the focus. Also, note that the maximum recording limit is 30 minutes, so bear that in mind. For photos, we get a resolution of 4000 by 6000 pixels. Canon's color science is among the most praised in the camera industry, and I personally love them as well. I still stand by they being a bit too magenta, but it's easy to correct in whatever photo editing app you'll be using. The Dedicate 8 image processor also helps improve the image quality and compression, so that's another good thing. For landscapes and portraits, images look sharp, and I didn't ever struggle when nailing focus in photos. It supports a maximum shutter speed of 1 out of 4,000ths of a second, up to 10 frames in single shot mode, and 7.5 frames in servo mode. What this means is if you pull out the camera and nail the focus on a non-moving subject, you can get up to 10 pictures per second. But if you have a moving subject, then the maximum speed is 7 pictures per second. For me, this is fast enough, so I don't really worry about it so much. Mostly the time I need this feature is when a couple is dancing or walking towards me during their exclusive shoot. You can somewhat get away with a bit of sport photography or taking pictures of fast moving subjects like your kids playing around or playing fetch with your dog, but it shouldn't be too intense. With the inclusion of both wireless and Bluetooth, that's weird, Bluetooth is also wireless. Well, with that inclusion, you can use this camera with the Canon's Connect app. So once you connect it to your smartphone, you can take pictures, record videos, get all your settings right on your smartphone before you even get started. So yeah, there are a lot to love about this camera, and it's because of that most people are talking about it. But should you get one? Well, here are the couple of problems I faced once I started using it. But most of my complaints were due to the smaller form factor, although it is great because you can easily carry this around and shoot in 4K at any time you wanted. The dual pixel autofocus for a smaller design like this is also great. And because it is also small, you wouldn't worry about it being heavy after using it for a couple of times. But that is also the problem. Because it is small, a continuous use isn't very comfortable. I got a chance to shoot with this for an entire day during an engagement, and I realized after a while that my ring finger and my middle finger started hurting because it is smaller, so I constantly had to grip from that side. And because I wasn't using any battery grip, my pinky was always falling off. And unfortunately too, the grip isn't deep enough, so you just have to hold it in a weird way. Also on the smaller body is the battery life, because since it's a smaller body, you can't put a bigger battery in it. Another issue was the placement of the car slot and battery compartment so close to the bottom 1/4 inch mount. This made it almost impossible to take it out if you have something like a tripod's quick release plate attached. You always have to unscrew it first before you can get access to the battery or the SD card. So yeah, now you are getting it for 3,500 Ghana cedis. Is it a good deal? Well, actually, yes. After using this for an entire day, I just fell in love with mirrorless cameras. Don't get me wrong, I have used mirrorless cameras from Nikon, but this is my first mirrorless camera from Canon, and I just loved it to bits. Another thing with this is the dual pixel autofocus. Anytime I will be shooting these types of videos, I would never have to worry about being out of focus, moving back and forth from the camera. So yes, if you have deeper pockets, definitely get the Canon M50. Like I said in the previous camera video, if your priority is for photos only, then the 600D should do just fine. You can lay low a little bit with that. But if video is your priority, you should pay more and get the Canon M50. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe to this channel and other channels which I have them linked below. And as always, don't forget to share with your family and friends. This is Theo from Fino Concept, and I'll talk to you guys in the next one.
Feel the shifts in the air with me, and the light is what you can't see. Keep on dreaming.